What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and I'm here at Carolina Fear Fest in Raleigh, North Carolina, sitting next to the very lovely and talented Miss Alex Essoe. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Twitter has always been doing these polls of like what movie's better, and I've been seeing a lot of Doctor Sleep versus The Shining, and Doctor Sleep's been winning. So I'm wondering
Interesting.
what your opinion is on that.
Oh, don't make me do that, man. Oh my God. I mean, it's a tough decision, because I grew up with The Shining, and it's one of my favorite Kubrick films, just in general. But I thought that Doctor Sleep was really quite brilliant. The way that Mike was able to pay so much respect to both the film and the book. He did, and it's I don't even know if I've ever really seen a director do this, where he was able to straddle that line, where he honors the story, he honors the fans, and he gives us something that we haven't seen before, and he gives this amazing ending, the one that I would have wanted to see. Like, it's the movie I wanted to see. Right. So, I mean, it's also, if no one has seen it, I cannot recommend the director's cut highly enough. There's like almost an extra hour of footage. There's an extra storyline in there. It's really, really fantastic. So if you like Doctor Sleep, the director's cut is even more than that.
What was it like working with Mike Flanagan?
I love working with Mike. and one of the biggest reasons I love working with him is that he's a director who really loves actors. He really respects what we do. He takes very good care of us. He gives excellent notes. You know, he's very good at intuiting what we need and the direction to point us in, and then he trusts us. He trusts us to pick up the slack and to create on our own and bring our own innovation to characters and to stories. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love working with and I mean, he's also a cinephile, so I could talk about movies with him forever and never get bored. Like, he sees everything.
I heard that you watched Turner Classic Movies every now and then.
Oh,
I was raised on that from my grandmother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So all the classics, that like Lon Chaney Sr., he's my favorite actor.
Oh, amazing.
So
He's brilliant.
Right?
Yes.
So I was wondering, as an actor, like, who were your biggest influences from the classic era of like Hollywood?
Most of my influences are from the classic era.
I had a feeling.
Big time. I mean, it was just a different thing, you know. All of them came from theater. They were all formally trained. Okay, well, let's go down the list. Jenna Rollins is number one for all time.
Naturally.
She is the ultimate. You never see the strings. You never see her acting. Nothing is ever false or mannered. I never see her. I always see the character, which is the bar. I mean, when I first saw A Woman Under the Influence, I had just started going to an acting school training formally. I was a child back then, but that was the first time that I realized how far you can really go as an actor.
Oh yeah.
There are no real limitations to authenticity, I guess is the word I'm looking for, in the sense that, you know, I've made it my business to study every acting technique I can get my hands on. And the one that resonated with me the most is something called the Meisner technique. And the mantra of that technique is that acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And that's always the goal. You always want to tell the truth about what it is you're portraying. You don't want it to be false. You know, it is make-believe, but it's not pretend.
Right.
Because you have to believe it. If you don't believe what you're doing, the audience isn't going to believe it either. And I know as an audience member, I feel very ripped off if I don't believe the actor that I'm watching. So yes, Jenna Rollins, Bette Davis, of course, Deborah Carr, brilliant. Michelle Pfeiffer, I think, is an unsung hero of acting. A lot of people would dismiss her as being just impossibly beautiful, and she is. I mean, she's one of the most beautiful women to ever live. But she's also a powerhouse. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. Her Catwoman is the best Catwoman ever. Better than her. I love Eartha Kitt, but there's no ego in Michelle Pfeiffer's acting. Everything that she does is only in service of the character and the script, which is the whole point. We are servants. We are servants of the script. We are servants of the story. It is not about us. It's not about looking good or looking sexy or anything like that. And my favorite actors really do that. That's their goal, I guess. Elizabeth Taylor, another one, impossibly beautiful and one of the most incredible, deep actresses ever. I mean, you see her in something like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and she just tore me to shreds in that movie. I mean, there are a lot of dudes too. I'm only there are a lot of male actors as well that I absolutely love. I'm on the spot now, so I can't think of them. That always happens.
The women that you already listed were perfect.
Oh, thank you. I mean, they are. Annette Bening.
That's a good one too.
Never a false note ever. She's never played a false note in her life. I've never not believed anything that she's done. I mean, I could hold up any performance from any movie, and it's always completely different. It's always a completely new person and a completely new personality. So,
in recent years, the term scream queen has gotten, some actresses don't like it, some embrace it.
Yeah.
I would consider you in that category of being a scream queen, because if I'm not mistaken, your first leading role was Starry Eyes.
Yes.
And you've also been in Dr. Sleep, The Pope's Exorcist, Tales of Halloween. So
yes.
What is your opinion on that term, and would you consider yourself that?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I'll be honest. I understand why actresses are reticent to take on a title like that, because, you know, you study acting, you want to do everything. You want to do as much as you can, and, you know, in an industry like this, it's very easy to get pigeonholed into something like, oh, well, that's your thing. That's what you do, and you don't do anything else. And so I get why actresses, and I've struggled with this myself, because I'm like, no, I want to do comedy. I want to do drama. You know, I've done Shakespeare. I want to do theater and things like that. But at the same time, and I actually said this in the panel, it's a term that is given lovingly. It comes from a place of love and respect, and now I think it's actually quite an honor to be called a scream queen, because I mean, if you're given a title like that, that means that you've been able to reach a lot of people and affect them and make them feel something, you know. So yeah, I hope I'm not being too brutally honest about this.
No,
but,
not at all.
But no, it's cool. It's nice, and it makes it really does. I mean, the horror community is a community. You know, there's no like drama community. There's no action community.
That's true.
You know, there's no comedy community. It's unique to this genre, and it really does feel like a family, because I mean, I'm a misfit, and this is where all the misfits go. Exactly. You know, this is where we can be our true selves, and no one is judged, and everybody is welcome. And so, yeah, so now I really embrace the term.
And if I'm not mistaken, you didn't grow up like as a horror fan.
I grew up as a movie fan,
right,
which included horror.
Right.
Yeah.
When it came to preparing for, this is kind of a two-part question.
Sure.
What's it like to prepare for those roles? It not being a fan, like quote unquote, like a hardcore fan, and also being surrounded by it at conventions like these and meeting the fans. What are those experiences like for you?
Well, what was the first part of the question?
What is it like to prepare for what does it take for you to prepare for those roles?
So the thing about acting is that preparation isn't genre specific. So there's whoever the person is, you build the person, you bring life to the person, and you honor the circumstances that they're in. So it's who is this person and how would they act in these circumstances, and you can apply that to anything. So I have a process, and I bring that process to every role I do, no matter what the genre is. And then for coming to horror conventions and meeting fans, I mean, this is kind of really what it's all about. The fans are the people I make movies for.
We appreciate it too.
Oh, thank you. but yeah, I mean, being able to connect with people who have been affected by something you did, something you created, is not just validating, but it's also very humbling, because it's a reminder that I have a responsibility. I can't just rest on my laurels, and there's a agreement. There's a contract that you enter into with your audience.
Right.
And not to go off on a tangent too much, but
no, please.
What the slap heard around the world when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. I mean, apart from assaulting someone on international television, the thing that was also very shocking to people was that, and shocking to me, was that he broke his contract with his audience. The Oscars are not for celebrities.
Right.
If they were just for celebrities, it wouldn't be televised around the world. The idea was for people to watch and support the people that they like and see who really brought the most to their role or whatever. And I think it's important to remember that that's why we're doing this. We ought not to be doing it for awards,
Right.
for the shine, for the glamour. We're doing it to reach somebody who feels misunderstood and feels like they have nowhere to turn to, like me. That's what movies were for me, was an oasis, a place where I could find understanding and acceptance. And that's the whole point of storytelling. That's why we've been telling stories since human beings have existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never think of it like that, like it's always been a part of human nature. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, even when we get together with our families and we tell stories, or your grandfather tells you stories about his life growing up, and it's something that connects you to people. That's what I love so much about this specific art form.
Right.
It's my job to represent the human experience in an honest way, and I take that very seriously.
Now, what we do here at Dead Noise, we talk about horror movies and rock music.
Nice.
We talked off camera about Iron Maiden just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I know you've also made some music of your own.
You know about that?
Are there any plans for another EP or anything like that?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so over the strike, my friends and I started this strike project. We started this stoner doom metal band called Jackie. And we named it after the first neighbor to complain about the noise. So it happened to be Jackie.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, she was very sweet too. She was a total sport about the whole thing. But we also have a song called Jackie, and the only lyrics are Jackie.
That's even better.
It's been really fun. So we may do something with that. I don't know.
Any live shows?
At some point, yeah, absolutely. I would love to perform live again. I miss that.
Oh man, that would be amazing.
It's so much fun. Yeah, that would be cool.
Now, what I wanted to ask you about the most was Tales of Halloween, because
Yes.
I grew up as a big Adam Green fan, and I know he was a
cool.
part of that.
Oh, he's so sweet.
And I had a feeling.
Yeah, he's such a sweetheart.
So, being in an anthology like that, your segment, The Grim Grinning Ghost, try saying that 10 times fast.
I know, sir. I still can't say that.
What was it like to work in such a collective project like that?
I mean, my section of that specifically was such a dream come true. I mean, Stuart Gordon, Mick Garris, Barbara Crampton, Lynn Shay as my mom. She's hilarious. I mean, they were the sweetest group of people, but this was the first thing I did after Starry Eyes. And I had to pinch myself when I got to set because I was like, I almost kind of like had a little like anxiety thing. I'm like, I've been watching all of these people for such a long time and I love their work so much, and like, what the hell am I gonna, what am I, and they were the sweetest, so classy, introducing themselves to me. Welcome, it's so good to meet you. And I was like, oh, okay, person whose work I absolutely love. And I'm really happy that I got to tell Stuart Gordon how much I love dolls before he died, because that movie is everything to me.
Reasonably so.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. It brings out such an interesting side of his personality, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, before I let you go, this is my favorite part of every interview. I have a speed round for you.
Oh, fun. Okay.
So I got 5 questions.
All right.
You can elaborate as much as you want. I'm not that strict about it.
Okay.
But the first question, your favorite director that you've ever worked with?
That I've ever worked with?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mike Flanagan.
I had
Definitely.
A feeling
I was thinking of all the other. I mean, I've worked with some directors that I really do adore, but Mike is the ultimate. I mean, he's so legit. You know? Yeah, he's such a good dude.
Your most embarrassing moment on set?
On Dr. Sleep, actually. I was in the Gold Room and everyone was filming something else in a set that was right next door. And I was like, oh, the stage is all lit up. That's so cool. And I walked up on stage and I didn't realize that all the panels were just paper lit from underneath. And I not only did my foot go through one of them, but it made the loudest noise while they're filming. And I was like, oh shit. And then I turned around and everyone has come, including Ewan McGregor, who I have been obsessed with since I was 14. I turned around and everyone's like, I was like, oh, it's just this paper. And everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. And then everybody left. I was like, oh my God. I was bright red, I'm sure.
Oh my God. About red as that door?
Yeah, as red as that emergency door, yeah. My whole face was an emergency door.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, yeah.
Your favorite experience that you've had with a fan?
Oh man.
That's probably hard.
It is hard, but there is a fan that I met at a convention in London, who I'm still friends with actually, and he had been a sniper in the British Army, and which you never would have guessed. I mean, now he's an English teacher, and he's just the sweetest, most gentle human being. And you know, the thing with being a gentle soul is being in the military and being a sniper takes a huge psychological toll on people. And he told me that he had suffered from PTSD you always do, you know, it never really goes away. But he said that it had been really bad for a long time, and that he had been watching Bly Manor. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Well, he was British, so I mean, I don't. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But it's a correlation. I don't know if it means anything. But yeah, he was saying, you know, your work in that and the love story, and it was just something that resonated with him, and it helped him to kind of work through his thing. I'm gonna get emotional. To kind of work through his stuff. And anyway, so I started crying, and then he started crying, and we hugged, and the next day, he came back with this like 150-year-old copy of Wuthering Heights, which is one of my favorite books ever, because he's an English teacher, as we were talking about books, and he asked me what my favorite one was, and I was like, well, I mean, Wuthering Heights, definitely. I mean, Emily Bronte was like the punk rock of literature at the time.
Yeah. And
I still have that copy, and I read that copy, and we've been friends ever since. I mean, he's a really good dude, and it really left a lasting impression on me.
Reasonably so. That's a really cool story.
It was really sweet. Yeah, it was cool.
Was that, just out of curiosity, because I know there's like a million conventions, was that for the love of horror? Was that the one?
Is that what the London one is called?
I think so. I have like 2 friends in London. I'm not too sure.
I'm such a flaky actor. I'm so bad at keeping track of this stuff. It was not. I'm doing it again this year. I'm doing the same one this year.
Okay.
And I can't remember. Once I have lunch, maybe I'll remember.
Fair.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the next question then.
Yeah.
Your favorite thing to do outside of the film industry?
Play music. I love animals, and I pet sit as a side job.
Oh.
So I love doing that. I've also worked in childcare for a long time, and I've always really enjoyed that. I love children. I've babysat. I've nannied. I've worked in shelters with kids, and that I find very fulfilling as well. And cooking. I love to cook. I'll cook up a storm. Over quarantine, I forced myself to learn how to make all the stuff I couldn't get anymore.
That's a good way to make use of that time.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
And the last one, this is always my favorite one to ask. The role that you played or the film that you were a part of that means the most to you?
That means the most to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably Starry Eyes, honestly. There's something about that, and I think I said this during the panel too, but it's, for all of its supernatural elements, it's one of the most realistic representations, not just of Hollywood, but also the individual's obsession with fame and with mattering.
Yeah.
People associate fame with meaning. And as you find out in the movie, those two things are not the same at all.
No.
Meaning comes from a sense of purpose, but more than that, meaning comes from the relationships you have. There's really nothing more. I mean, that's what we're all alive for. Does that answer your question? Is that
Yeah, absolutely.
So Starry Eyes was probably the one that resonated the most with me.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Well, that was everything I had for you. Was there any
Great.
closing message that you had to any fans watching?
Embrace absurdity. Life is short, so have a sense of humor about it. Because as Steve Martin says, if you don't laugh at life, you'll cry.
Very true.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.
I've had a
This
blast
was great.
talking with
Me
you.
too. This was great. Those were great questions. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
I can't wait to see you back at this convention, hopefully.
Me too.
Wink. And until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.